What's up, guys? It's TRT77 here with my draft analysis of Season 7 of the WPF. Now, this is a league. We're in the Magikarp division, which is the lower of the two divisions. I believe it's Magikarp and Gyarados. While this is probably the first time I'm ever playing in a lower division, I think the competition's actually pretty good from what I've seen in the battles. Um, we're coming in as a sub here, and I haven't uploaded any leagues thus far where I have been a sub and not a part of the draft. So what you're gonna see is the team that I've got. We were allowed to make 3 changes upon taking over the team, along with 3 total transactions that the team was already given. And I'm assuming, I might be wrong, but I think we're also allowed 3 player-to-player trades. But at this time, I'm choosing to just keep those in the back. Um, at first glance, this is going to seem like one of my weaker drafts compared to the other two that you have seen so far from me. But again, coming in as a sub, you're always left with what is left on the board, what is your best options, and what is your best way to make the best of the situation you're taking over. Now, the team we are taking over is 0-3, -11, but this is a 12-week season, so we have plenty of time. Um, I'm just hoping this kind of goes like my last stint as a sub. My last stint as a sub is before I started uploading. It was in ISL, and there we took over a team that was 3-4, -4, and we made it to playoffs by winning. We basically had 4 regular season games left when we took over the team, and we made it to playoffs by 6-0ing in our last game, which we had to 6-0 to make playoffs, which was pretty epic. And then we made a run all the way to the finals, but then we did lose in those finals to Nintago. Also, Nintago's channel is going to be linked down below. Shout out Nintago, great battler himself. So I'm hoping we can channel that here. Hopefully make another good run. First things first is gonna try to save this record and try to make it back into playoff contention, because obviously starting off 0-3 -11 when I take over the team isn't ideal, but we've made quite a few sizable changes, and I'm hoping this helps the team out. So I'm just gonna jump into the team that we got. Now, the first thing of note is that we have got. This is from the team we already inherited. The first Pokemon we had was Urshifu Single Strike. Now, Urshifu is allowed to use Wicked Blow in this league, and we all know it is an offensive powerhouse. There's very if any switch ins to Wicked Blow, and most times, other than not, this is probably the best breaker available right now. And the fact that we managed to get this is a Pokemon we inherited and we had to keep on the team. We had to keep 5 of the 11 Pokemon that were already on the team. So this was the first of 5 that we kept. And for obvious reasons, Urshifu is a very good breaker and a very good Pokemon overall, and just probably one of the best tier 1s we could have on this team. Now, one of the next one we drafted was mainly out of need, but also out of position, which was the team we inherited did not have a steel type. Its steel type was Magneton, and I'm gonna be honest with you, in a 11-mon format, when the tiers are actually quite lenient, quite well made, quite lenient, and having to use tier for Magneton as your steel type, especially when you have a mon is weak to Moonblast as Urshifu, was not something I wanted to use. So I went with Melmetal. Now, I had the choice between Melmetal and Heatran, but based on what was left on the board, I just didn't feel I had enough to support Heatran on that team. I did not have very good bulky grasses left over. I guess Celebi was available, but the decision, once you see one of our further mons, you'll understand why I needed to go Melmetal over Heatran. Melmetal, again, gives us another amazing physical breaker. Absolute monster on the physical end. Can even Assault Vest can take hits on the special side. Really, just between these two mons, it's just a very annoying combination to break. And overall, just not something most teams want to have. Most teams are going to struggle to find a switch into both these Pokemon, and that is what I'm looking towards. This team is going to be probably best attuned towards breaking balance over anything else. And unfortunately, the Pokemon we had to drop for Melmetal was Clefable, but at the situation I was in, I saw other fairies present, but I did not see really many steel types that I wanted. I did not want to keep Clefable and then go Registeel because again, while I enjoyed my time playing balance, it's not my preferred playstyle. I prefer playing bulky offense. And the next thing we had to change on this team was the Mega, and the Mega on this team previously was Mega Abomasnow. And if you know me, Mega Abomasnow is a big no. Like, no, I am not using a low tier Mega that I don't believe in. And so, of the Megas available, the only Mega that I truly liked was Mega Slowbro. And Mega Slowbro, really good physical wall, teleporter, trick room support, gets shell armor so it can't be crit. Um, really good setup Pokemon now, gets body press as well for those kind of sets. Trick room, nasty plot, stored power. There's so much that this Pokemon can do and function as while also remaining a support mon. And again, having a bulky water that's not particularly inclined to take special moves, even though it can take special moves quite well, might not seem like the best decision always, but I I do patch that up as we go. And I think Slowbro is a very good Pokemon. The other thing is, Slowbro is a very good fighting check. Ironically, the only fighting type it doesn't check is on my team, and that's Urshifu. So I'm not super worried about other fighting types. Even Pangoro is not a huge worry for me with Slowbro's monstrous defenses and the fact that it can take things out. The other thing is the fact that Slowbro can future sight, teleport right into Urshifu, and that takes out every Urshifu check in the game. So I'm very pleased with being able to get Mega Slowbro here, but it was the only real choice we had in the process, and we had to go from Mega Tier 3 to Tier 1, which made us have to drop one of our Tier 2s for a Tier 4, but then I was actually more happy with that Tier 4 than I was with the Tier 2s. So our next Pokemon is Nidoqueen. Now, I wanted a designated Moonblast switch-in on this team. Nidoqueen is so good against pretty much every fairy in the game not named Primarina. And even Primarina has to run speed to beat it, or Primarina, like 1v1, it is a mon that can come in and kill Primarina with a Sludge Wave, depending on the set. So, another very good mon. It absolutely stomps on Coco, which right now Coco is annoying as hell for the team we have. And it gives us rocks and T-Spikes, which this team is quite hazard weak. And as in we don't have many hazards. And this is going to end up being our only rocker, spoiler alert. But I think Nidoqueen is a very capable Pokemon, both offensively and defensively. And especially being a very good fairy check. I really enjoyed using Nidoking. And Nidoqueen is the more defensive of the two, but I still think Nidoqueen is going to pull through quite well for us. Our next Pokemon is going to be Ditto in Tier 3. So this is another Pokemon we kept from the previous team. I didn't really have much of... I didn't think there was a downside to keeping Ditto at the end of the day. Because I just didn't see a whole lot of other things I could take in its place. Ditto's setup, which is great for us. If we need to in certain matchups, it can always just come in on certain things and take their abilities and revenge them. So I guess Ditto is just does what Ditto does. It's always going to force prep. That's another thing with Ditto, is that all it has to do is show up 1 week and counter sweep, and the next 10 weeks your opponents are bringing sub, or your opponents are bringing some sort of anti-Ditto tech, which is always something that I like to see. It's a mon that sits on your bench and forces prep. Our next mon is Whimsicott. So that's our fairy now, and that's also our first Defogger. And I wanted Whimsicott for this team primarily for two reasons. One, Tailwind. Tailwind support is great for Urshifu, for Nidoking, for Melmetal. Two, Prankster, Stunspore, Prankster Taunt. The fact that it can U-turn. The fact that it can Prankster Leech Seed. The fact that it can... There's even got Infiltrator as an ability, which a lot of people don't think about when it comes to Whimsicott. It's got two great stabs with Moonblast and Energy Ball. It can always take care of bulky setup threats. and that's why I have Whimsicott on this team. Um, I had to drop Cloyster for Whimsicott, which honestly for me was the easiest decision ever. I absolutely detest using Cloyster. I don't think it's a bad mon if used well, but it's just one of those Pokemon I physically can't use because it's so reliant on one set, and I just don't think it's worth much. Especially when I was going for Mega Slowbro as my only Mega, I had to purge the team of the other water types. Another water type I had to drop on this team was Suicune, which was painful, but like I needed Nidoqueen on this team. I wanted to have that fairy check, and having Slowbro and Suicune on the same team is quite difficult to justify that momentum sync, if you ask me. Moving on, our next Pokemon is Articuno Galar, and this is our last tier 3, I believe. So far we've got 2 tier 1s, a tier 1 Mega, a tier 2, and 3 tier 3s on here. So the third tier 3 we had is Articuno Galar. Articuno Galar, again, was a Pokemon that I inherited, and I just chose to keep. Why I chose to keep this? I just feel like of the mons that I really wanted to get rid of, this was probably not high up on my list. It does have a very good special attack stat, has quite a decent special defense stat, can calm mind up. Probably doesn't really hit steel types, but we don't have issues hitting steel types at the moment with Nidoqueen and with Urshifu on the squad. And in general, it's another Pokemon that can just click Future Sight and U-turn out or set up Trick Room and just be annoying. And it does have access to recovery, which is nice, and it's a good ground immunity. And it's not frail, so that's another key point for it. Overall, this is not a mon that I'm expecting to come to a whole load of games. It's never a mon that I've used, and maybe I will, once we get into the damage calc and get in the nitty-gritty details, this might be a Pokemon we consider. But outside of that, I really don't think this is a Pokemon that I'm going to use a whole lot. I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to end up bringing it to the first 3 games. I just know myself, and I know it's going to happen. The next Pokemon we have is Vikavolt. Vikavolt was in tier 4, which I thought was a steal and a half. And replacing Magneton with Vikavolt just put a smile on my face. I was just so happy. I feel like I got a much better deal in tier 4. We get webs, which again, web support for Urshifu, for Melmetal, for Nidoqueen. You're gonna question me when I say for Melmetal, but trust me, max speed Melmetal under webs actually outspeeds a few things. But web support is great. Again, another Trick Room sweeper. Great special breaker if used in the right teams, in the right senses. Heavy duty boots has just been great for Vikavolt this gen. And moving on, our next Pokemon is Talonflame. Now, the team when I took it over, the fastest mon was Articuno Galar at I think it's base 90. No, sorry, it was Urshifu at base 97. And I need to be able to contest mons at higher speeds, which is one of the reasons I got Whimsicott over something like Weezing Galar, was because Whimsicott is base 116 speed, and Talonflame gives us a base 126 speed mon. Plus, it's a very good revenge killer as a whole, and even though the Gale Wings nerf is a thing, it does still. ST sets are great, bulk up sets are great, bulky sets with flame body, and it can defog. Even though it's probably not my ideal defogger, it's my second defogger on this team. As I said before, we are very poor with hazards and with removal on this team, which is something I'm sure it's gonna bite us in the ass this season. But I'm just hoping we can play around it by outmaneuvering people with just sheer offense, because that is what I went with on this team for the most part. Our next Pokemon is Ice Cream Cone / name redacted / I will not say this Pokemon's name. I have been made fun of to no end for my pronunciation of Ice Cream Cone, which is a name I'm not going to say, because I'm just not going to give people the pleasure of this. But Ice Cream Cone does give us a Veil Setter, another good special breaker, a good mid-speed tier, even though it kind of overlaps with Nidoqueen. I mean, it's probably a better Scarfer than Nidoqueen on any good day. It's always nice to have Ice-type stab, especially on a team where your Fairy is Whimsicott and you're not heavy on Dragon Breakage. And in general, with access to Freeze Drive, with Flash Cannon, while it's another Rock's weakness, which is tough, which I guess it is hard, but we had to keep a few mons, and it's another one of the mons we inherited on this team that we kept. Now moving on, our last mon on this team is Leafeon. Leafeon's again a mon we inherited, not a mon we could do much about. Like, I just thought, why not keep Leafeon? If I'm being honest with you, that's what I thought when it came down to the end of it, because it's a tier 5. There's nothing hugely great in tier 5 that was going to improve my team. Keeping an extra Wish Passer on this team, not the end of the world. It's probably beneficial in some matchups. Leafeon is a chlorophyll abuser, which means it can be annoying for certain sun teams, or if we choose to run manual sun, it's an option. It's an ST mon, it's a knockoff mon. It's just got the basics down. And we're kind of weak on knockoff, ironically, despite having one of the best knockoff mons in the game. So, this is our squad we're going in with, and I believe the changes we made, I know that dropping mons like Suicune and Clef were tough, but I believe the changes we made will improve this team overall. Like, even though we lose the rocker, it is in Clef, we did gain Nidoqueen, which I think is a great rocker, and T-Spike Setter, and I think overall the team is better for it. My main goal this season is right now to make playoffs, because we're starting 0-3 -11, and I'm not going to take any games for granted anywhere. And I'm just hoping we can hopefully maneuver around people with just them not having switch-ins to our main threats. This team is heavily positioning based, so that is going to be our primary way of winning games this season. And hopefully you can stay along for this ride. We've got 9 weeks left in this league, and hopefully we can make another ISL-like run. And hopefully maybe I'll actually upload that ISL run like at some point as like a mini movie or something. It was only like 7 or 8 games, but it was a really fun run. So this is TRT77 signing off, guys. I'll be back with my next BDL and TBA games soon. Hopefully the weekend, just depending on IRL things. And I'm sorry if my voice sounds off in this video. I have been quite ill at the time of filming this. So I will catch y'all on the next one, guys.